Hello, IT community. I'm Alicia Burgos, an Organizational Development Specialist on the IT Human Resources team. I'm here today to talk with Vice President and Chief Information Officer Tarek about an incredibly cool gig opportunity that he is hosting. As many of you know, gigs are meaningful short-term projects that help employees develop their skills, broaden professional networks, and encourage career growth while staying in their current roles. This gig is designed to modernize how the university handles its report of external professional activities, also known as the REPA, and the request for outside consulting, also known as the ROC form. These two forms are essential compliance tools that faculty and staff use to report external business relationships and consulting requests. Today, this process relies on legacy infrastructure that's scheduled to be retired. We have the opportunity to combine REPA and ROC into a single seamless, frictionless web application. But there's an exciting twist. We're building this using an AI-assisted method called vibe coding. The person who lands this gig will act as a system orchestrator. You will use advanced AI coding assistance to direct the application's logic, design, and workflows using just your natural language. You manage the vision and the user experience, the vibes, and AI writes the code. Next, we'll hear from Vice President and CIO Tarek who will share how this gig can help you develop cutting-edge AI engineering and product management skills.
Isn't the term just cool, right? Vibe coding. I mean, it feels like something that you want to try to do. Vibe coding as a capability is not new. Has really undergone an incredible amount of change and transformation. 2 years ago, I took a vibe coding journey personally because I told our teams I had to experience this for myself just to understand like how powerful, how strong are these tools. And what I learned is that the tools capabilities so far exceeded what I expected, and that was 2 years ago. So vibe coding, an ability really to bring the ability to create applications, to write code, if you will, to people via generative AI prompts, and really to do everything from reimagine to design to actually do the coding to do the testing. And there's no better way for an organization to understand what that opportunity may represent, or maybe what the opportunity doesn't represent, than taking a real life example of an application and attempting to create it in a completely new way. And so I'm excited, for our teams to take a journey through vibe coding, use this AI capability, and then share broadly with everyone what did they learn. It's actually completely geared towards those that are deeply immersed, that do development, for a living, that really understand complex code, and people like me that haven't developed an application in many, many years. You literally talk to one of these vibe coding services. So you will start off by selecting the vibe coding platform that you want to use. There are several predominant ones that are incredibly popular right now. And you start with describing what you want to do. It ends up interacting with you much, like a person. It may at times tell you to do something different than what you're asking it to do. And so no development expertise is necessary. No development background is necessary. What is really beneficial, though, is to understand how to solve problems, how to decompose. I have this old application and I want to get to a new application. And what are the things and the steps that I need to go through to get from old to new? And then this vibe coding assistant, which really turns into mini assistants, is there to help you. And anytime you don't know what to do next, you just ask it. I don't know what to do. What should I do next? I think opening access to these types of tools for exploration and experimentation and safe exploration allows us then to bring them in as tools that are really workforce companions, that really help our people as a tool that we can use to do our work. And so I think maybe we have to break through the myth, or maybe it's a reality, and we have to break through the reality that we only have access to stagnant tools that are not proactive, because I don't actually think that's accurate. Really, it was selected more coincidentally than anything else. It was a tool that came up a number of times during my interview processes as a tool that was hoped to be modernized a number of times over a 10 to 15 year period and always push back and always push back. And maybe it wouldn't ever receive the prioritization necessary, but it's a tool that's experienced by many people. And so I think it's the perfect homegrown, relatively small tool that has a high engagement with people that can be that prototype proving ground for how far are these vibe coding tools as it relates to actual application modernization. We may learn that it doesn't work. We may learn that what it produces isn't supportable or sustainable, or we may learn that there's a new fast way to modernize old legacy tech debt laden applications like REPA. And so really the selection of it, I certainly connected with the business leaders in those units. They were super excited that this is a part of this gig opportunity. And first and foremost probably is to introduce this concept, right? To use the gig platform as a way of doing something completely new and completely different than what we do, and sharing that knowledge back, and then maybe using that as a springboard for changing a way of working for ourselves. So I wouldn't want to steer it, but I can tell you what it would be like if I were the one, that happened to be selected for this gig opportunity. The ask really is going to be try to stay within the vibe coding space as much as you can. Like try to see if you can do everything, within a vibe coding capability. And I would probably start off once the selection of the vibe coding platform is done. The first thing I would say is, I got this gig job. I don't really know what to do at all. I'm going to modernize and transform this old application that does, and then just describe it. What should I do? And then just see where it takes you from there. And I think our teams that are working on this are going to be quite surprised at how that journey is actually navigated. The knowledge transfer of like, hey, great, here's where we should start. You should do this next. I created this. What does this look like? You should share this with different people. And so that journey, I would literally started with that, proverbial, how might I? I would really be totally open to either a veteran developer that is interested in exploring a new way to do development. There's a lot of experience that type of a person would bring, or a product manager, or someone that is actually not, in that space at all. I think it's the curiosity, it's the openness, it's the, glass is half full. Like, I'm really excited about learning, whether this can work. When I started my vibe coding journey a couple of years ago, I was pretty ambitious, try to create a language model based on computer vision that analyzed video. And, I got pretty ambitious, and I was blown away at how much I can create. And it just kind of became like, okay, I can't put this down. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. That's really, probably what I would look for, is that enthusiasm, that excitement for testing the limits and being excited to share that back with our organization. I don't think there's much more powerful than that first person experience and testimony, especially in this space. There's so much conversation about AI, podcasts every day, so much information everywhere. But when you actually, ask, well, how do you, most of it is I read or I heard or I listened to a podcast. Being an actual practitioner, like being able to say, well, I tried this and this is the experience that I had, I think is an accelerant for anyone in any space that is looking for opportunities. And so I think the experience of actually knowing the limits, or how well these tools worked, how they connected, things that were hard, things that were easy, I think that first person experience in a space that is moving that fast is invaluable. I think aspirationally, the team or the person that works on this should really try to go as far as they can within AI to actually answer that question. And so the AI vibe coding tools, they take on different personas. They can become a tester for you. They can find vulnerabilities. They can find bug fixes. So they have all these different personas. And then the other opportunity is to use a different vibe coding tool to do the analysis of code. And so you're kind of using one AI tool to check another AI tool. And so I would resist the urge to go back to old paradigms and old mechanisms and try to explore all of the things, from code review to code check-in to testing to automation to deployment, how far can a vibe coding tool actually take us? We still have to work within the safeguards that we establish, as a university. So it should be a tool that hopefully, has gone through our risk assessments and our approval cycles. Like, we want to make sure that we're doing the work responsibly. I'm going to be a huge advocate of making sure that, the people have what they need. I can provide, some guidance, some, mentorship, maybe just as someone that has dabbled and explored and played in this space, or open the door to others that have. I'm going to absolutely make myself available. I'm super eager to learn from them what they perceive as the vibe coding opportunity for the University of Minnesota. My ultimate pitch is I would urge actually anyone, and anyone kind of broad, right? But certainly anyone in our space. So if I think about the IT at UMN opportunity, I would urge everyone. It doesn't matter if you're in a support role, in a hands-on role, try vibe coding. AI is all around us in our field, and being able to experience it and talk about it, whether we're actually going to be a practitioner, whether we think it's going to work or not, but that exploration, that first person, because all around us, people are going to come to us with, hey, have you ever tried this? Does that work? And so I would urge anyone, whether you're applying for this gig job or not, to take a run, like try to create something in one of these tools, just to learn. And so I hope, that there are people excited about learning something new. Our space changes all the time. And so I'm really excited to see, who or however many people are interested in taking this challenge on.